I'm Alan Goodrum. When I retired in 2015, I was a fellow at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. They didn't have computer engineering back then, so I got my BS in electrical engineering in 1975 and an MSEE in 1985. Well, I was working at Texas Instruments when I got my master's degree at night, and then from there went on to Compaq, still doing digital design, computer development, things like that. My father was an engineer as well, not an electrical engineer, he was a civil engineer. So that kind of gave me an idea of what engineering was going to be like, thinking logically, solving physical problems with the tools that were available. Mentors are important to everybody's career, I believe, and once I was a practicing electrical engineer, yes, I remember one particular boss that I had for a number of years. He taught me the other skills, like he understood all of the people in his group and gave me a lot of good advice about how to keep what we were doing in the proper perspective and plan for where it needed to go. If I think of the biggest accomplishments that I had in my career, I chose to specialize in being more of a technical expert rather than going into the managerial. That gave me the opportunity of doing things like being involved in industry standard groups, specifically the PCI special interest group, the computer standard for plug-in cards that came out around 1990, the early 1990s at first. I got to do things like lead committees in developing the next standard. A couple of the standards, PCI hot plug, for example, PCI-X, if you go to Wikipedia, those that haven't been used for a while, but those show you an example of the things that I was responsible for. By being in that position, I was recognized as an expert, approached by a publisher, got to write a book on how to properly implement PCI hot plug. The technology itself has aged past its usefulness today, but that was a broadening experience for me, and I very much enjoyed it. Those are things that I can look back on and say we did a good job of that, and we helped not only me and the company I was working for, but we helped the industry as a whole because it was an industry standard body. I can remember when I was a student running into somebody on campus, an older person, older than I as a college student, would say, can you tell me where such and such a building is? I used to be a student here 20 years ago, but I can't find anything anymore. Now the irony here is that when I started getting involved in the industry advisory board, so going back out to the campus regularly, I found myself saying the same things. Can you tell me where such and such a building is? I used to be a student out here 20 or 30 years ago, but everything's different. The campus itself has gone through a lot of changes, a lot of development over time. We all have obligations as human beings to give back. We're not here just to serve ourselves. We have a purpose, much broader purpose. And so the college where I got my education and got my start into the career that I have enjoyed so well is a logical place that I should be giving back as well. Lots of opportunities here, and I have a lot of things in common with these young students who are in the program now, so it's appropriate that I should give back to them. Be learning all the time, and not just learning engineering things, but learning what makes a project succeed versus another project that failed. What makes a product? One product succeeds, another product fails. What makes one team effective and another team less effective? So yes, you need to be keeping up with the technology. You need to be using those skills that your engineering degree says you have mastered. But look out for those other things as well, the other life lessons, if you will. You'll be able to make much better decisions, and you'll be more valuable to your company or to your clients if you have your own company, if you can understand how how all of these things work together to become successful.